James' choice a cruel fate awaits. James chose death over power, the fame or career that his father worked hard to build. I know the road ahead will not be easy, but his love for her is real, and he didn't want to lose her for any reason. But is fate really on his side? Betrayal from the father. After James refused to listen to his father and dare to confront him, James' father has officially cut off all contact with his son. From now on, you are no longer my son. James's father's cold words were like a knife straight into Tim James. Not only fired from the company, James also had all his assets confiscated, including the luxury apartment he used to live in. From a powerful CEO, James suddenly became a penniless man. Love can feed two people. James moved in with Tu Diep in a small house in the countryside. In the early days, they grew vegetables together and took care of chickens and ducks. Tu Diep tried her best to make James feel comfortable, but she understood he was gradually changing. No more expensive suits, no more luxury cars or lavish parties. James now faces a life of deprivation. One evening, the goat sat quietly on the porch. His eyes were full of thought. Tu Diep gently sat down next to him and gently held his hand. "Do you regret it?" she asked. James looked at her. Deep eyes, but contained too many emotions. He replied, but his voice was not as sure as before. The real challenge CEO Min stepped into, while James was struggling to find a way to revive himself. CEO Min appears again. Min is not just a competitor in business, but also a man. Is openly pursuing Tu Diep. One day, Min came to her house to find her. He brought a small gift, a new guitar. "Tu Diep, I remember you said. Want a better guitar to practice on?" Min said with a warm smile. James stood beside her, his eyes darkening. Min not only wants to help Tu Diep, he wants to challenge James. A man, unable to protect his woman from poverty. Is he worthy of her love? James understood what Min was implying. He is gradually losing his position, even in the heart of the girl he loves. Tu Diep took the guitar, but she said nothing. She felt her heart waver. What will James do next? Can James find himself again? Regain career without losing the leaf? Is Tu Diep really faithful to James? Or will she be shaken by the stability Min brings? Will cruel fate make James fall completely? James on the battle between love and career. After days of struggle in the countryside with Tu Diep, James realized, love. You can't support two people without a solid foundation. I can't let the girl I love go forever, have to live in poverty. He had to stand up again. Re-emergence in the business world, the battle with CEO Min. James decided to return to the city, to start over. But this time he no longer has his father's company, no longer have huge assets. I only have my own wisdom, experience, and courage. James went to see old partners who once respected him. However, everyone was afraid because he was ousted by his biological father. No one wants to cooperate with a jerk. Abandoned by his own family, Now you have nothing. Why should we bet on you? Those words were like a knife cutting into James's heart, but I don't give up. At this moment, CEO Min appeared. Min made no secret of his intention to defeat James, not only in work but also in love. I really respect you. Even when he lost everything, he still refused to give up, Min said with a faint smile. James clenched his fists. Min looked straight at him and slowly said, "Do you want to cooperate with me?" James raised his eyebrows with a suspicious look. Min continued, "I want to invest in a big project, and I want you to run it." This offer is really too surprising. James knows Min is a shrewd businessman, but why does he want to help you? Or is this just a trap? James has struggled to accept or reject. If James accepts Min's offer, he can quickly return to business. But at the same time, he also understood that Min wanted to challenge him. I want to know, James is capable enough to stand without his father? Or not? Good. He is just a CEO who has benefited from his family's reputation. And most importantly, if James works for Min, are you qualified? Protect the leaves from Min's pursuit. James looked at Min and smiled sharply. You think I will work under you? Min curled his lips without showing any discomfort. I just want to give you a chance. If you refuse, then don't blame. I will take everything you have. I know Min is not joking. This is not just a business battle, but also the battle of the heart. James has to make a decision. Will you cooperate with Min to come back? Or will he build it all from scratch? Despite all difficulties, James decides to choose destiny. Looked at Min with cold eyes. James took a deep breath and said, I don't need your help. If I could build a career once, I can do it again. Min curled his lips, his expression not too surprised. He smiled faintly. I guess this answer. But remember, the more you struggle, I have more chance to pull Diep to my side. James clenched his fists, but he didn't let his emotions get the better of him. I know Min is not just talking. He really wants to have Diep. James started from scratch. James left the meeting with Min. Have their own plans in mind. He went to see old associates, those who believed in him before. I want to open a new company. Everyone was silent. Some people looked at James skeptically. You lost everything, James. Now you are just a penniless person who dares to invest in you. James was not deterred. He took out a detailed plan. I don't need big investment, I need trust. If you give me a chance, I will show you what I can do. James's confidence gradually shook some people. Final. One of Mr. Tuan's longtime companions, the former CFO of the old company, stood up. Okay, I will follow you. The others looked at each other and nodded. James has the first team of 5 for the new company. Not only is it a business, but also a battle of love. Although focused on starting a business, James still can't forget Min's warning. I know Min is not the type of person to give up easily. And as he predicted, Min came to Diep. A rainy afternoon, Min appeared at her door carrying an umbrella. Diep, how much time do you have left to wait for the game? Diep frowned. What did he mean? Min is busy playing games and is now busy working. But I think, can he succeed? This world is not that easy. Do you want to keep waiting for a man with nothing? Tu Diep holds his hand tightly, no matter what he is like. I still believe in him. Min looked at her for a long time and then burst out laughing. So what? We'll see if your faith is shaken. Tu Diep does not know. Min does not only use words, but is also planning to make James fail. Can James stand firm? James's new company will stand or fall. How will Min continue to test Tu Diep's love? Does Tu Diep have enough faith to wait for James, or will she waver? James faces the challenge of proving himself. James threw himself into building the new company. From zero, he works tirelessly. From finding customers to convincing investors, everything is getting on track. But he did not expect that. Min secretly took action to stop him. Min played dirty and the company got into trouble. One day James's CFO panicked. Enter the office. James, we have a problem. James looked up with cold eyes. What's the matter? Tuan threw a stack of documents on the table. All raw material suppliers suddenly cancel the contract with us. They say another company bought all their goods at a higher price. James clenched his fists. Is Min? Tuan nodded slowly. I have no proof, but it could be him. James smirked. Min made no secret of his intention to destroy him. If he quits, he will break me. Then he was wrong. James counterattacks business war. James took immediate action. He sought to change his business strategy. Instead of relying on old suppliers, he finds new sources. Even contact small businesses that need to cooperate. He took advantage of old relationships and negotiate directly with partners by his own reputation. After a stressful week, James has found an alternative source. But I know Min will not stop here. And as expected, Min continued to take action.